right, it is Friday night's weather for Weather Geeks. It's your most in-depth weather video you're going to find anywhere here in the Valley, on any app, on any website, on any TV station. This is where the geeks go for the most weather information for Northeast Ohio and Western PA. Starting out today talking about dew points, it felt like South Florida again today. Air you can wear, dew points, upper 60s, lower 70s all day. You know, this happens in the summer here, but it doesn't happen all that often. It's a little unusual. Handful of times, half a dozen times, maybe a summer where we have a stretch like we've had over the last couple of days with dew points hovering in the lower 70s. Dew points this evening, again, still in the upper 60s to around 70 degrees, and not much relief is in sight off to our west. It's well off to our west that we have some changes coming. All right, let's start out with the local radar when I recorded this at 7:39 p.m. All is quiet across the WFMG viewing area. A little lonely thunder shower along I-80 over towards Clarion. I think we're going to be largely dry, 5-10% chance of a pop-up shower or thunderstorm before sunset. Much better chance to get wet later on, though. Here's a look at the radar again when I recorded this at 20 till 8. Some heavy storms still in southeastern Michigan with severe thunderstorm warnings out for a couple of counties just south of Detroit. A lot of lightning and thunder up there. There's a severe thunderstorm watch for southeastern Michigan. Lots of severe thunderstorm watches from Tennessee through the Smoky Mountains and heading over into parts of North Carolina this evening as well, a sliver of Virginia. All right, the environment that we have overhead in the atmosphere is warm, it's humid, and it's sort of unstable. The storms up in Michigan right now feeding off this kind of unstable air right here. What we're looking at here is what we call CAPE, Convective Available Potential Energy. It's a measure of the instability in the atmosphere. Unstable air rises. Rising air forms clouds and precipitation. And the higher it gets, the heavier the rain, the more lightning, the more thunder, the more nasty the weather can be. But anyway, there's a plume of higher CAPE values up in southeastern Michigan and into parts of Ontario this evening right now. As we fast forward a few hours to when these storms start to push into Ohio, there is some CAPE, but it's quite a bit less than the environment the storms are feeding on right now. This is coming through at an unfavorable time of the day. This will be after sunset. The atmosphere tends to be, with some exceptions, more stable after sunset. So all this to say that I'm not real concerned about a big severe weather event tonight. I think there will be some thunder and lightning in some spots, and I can't rule out some isolated instances of strong to severe thunderstorms, but I think it's the exception, not the rule. Here's our high-res simulated radar at around midnight, kind of a broken line of showers and storms, and I think this generally has the right idea. A better chance of perhaps some heavier storms, more consistently heavy, up I-90 towards Erie, Dunkirk, maybe Jamestown, New York, heading up towards Buffalo, New York. That's where the model here kind of paints an uglier picture, and I think that's generally the right idea. But still, again, scattered showers and storms here later on this evening. Long gone as you get up tomorrow morning, and I think clouds will win the battle pretty quickly tomorrow, and there could even be a shower by lunchtime or so. The Storm Prediction Center still has us in the yellow area, the slight risk of severe weather. So that hasn't really changed much today. So here's kind of a breakdown of what to expect. Now, I opened up the window here as early as 9 p.m. There might start to be some isolated stuff that gets going that early, but for the most part, I think this is closer to 11, midnight or so, that we have a good chance of seeing those showers and storms. The primary threat with any of the nastier storms that do manage to get going would be a damaging wind gust. But again, it's a slight risk. It's not exactly a slam dunk, if you will. All right, the storms, again, long gone by tomorrow morning. By lunchtime tomorrow, the clouds up. Could be a shower. It's going to be breezy. Our isobars are packed pretty tightly here. So it's going to be a different feeling day. Now, the dew points aren't going to fall through off a cliff tomorrow. Dew points will still be in the lower 60s. It'll still be kind of muggy. But with a breeze, some clouds, possibility of a shower, somewhat lower dew points, cooler temperatures, it'll be a different feeling day. Sunday's going to start with clouds. I do think in the afternoon the sun breaks out. It's going to be a nice end of the day Sunday. Beautiful, sunny summer afternoon Sunday and into Sunday evening. And Monday looks like a beautiful day as well. Now it's going to start to warm up Monday. We'll get into the mid-80s Monday, just the start of a very warm pattern that we'll be heading into. Let's talk about that pattern. Now, it's going to get hot in the middle of next week, probably flirting with 90 a couple of times. I've fast-forwarded here to the longer range. We'll get some heat next week, but this is 10, 11 days from now. We're talking about like the 19th here, Tuesday the 19th. This upper-level pattern across the U.S. is a classic signature for a heat wave, a broad heat wave east of the Rockies. This is the kind of pattern that can produce 100 degrees in Chicago, St. Louis as well. This is the kind of pattern that can bring 90s into northeast PA, or northeast Ohio, western PA. So while we haven't hit 90 officially yet in Youngstown, we might do it next week, but I think we've got a better chance of doing it the following week. This is, again, Tuesday the 19th. And so not only will this be a hot pattern, but when you look at this kind of a setup where you've got a heat dome here and a northwest flow aloft, what happens a lot of times in this sort of a pattern is you get blow-ups of thunderstorms up here at the top of the ridge, and they ride the periphery of the ridge down through the Midwest and into the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley. So not only does this look like a hot pattern in the kind of 8 to 14 day period, this could be a pattern that produces a lot of severe weather, perhaps in our part of the country. Here's what I did as far as the next 10 days versus average, taking us out through Monday the 18th. Little below average tomorrow, right at average Sunday, and then the heat builds. We've got a 90 in the forecast for Wednesday and upper 80s Tuesday and Thursday. The heat might retreat just slightly for a couple of days as next weekend starts, but then again it starts to ramp up as we head into that longer range period, and I think we're going to have at least a couple of 90-degree days if the modeling has a clue about the longer range right now. Sometimes the modeling doesn't have a clue, but there's a pretty consistent signal that we're going to really heat up as we go into that third week of July, right in time for the convention up in Cleveland. All right, that's tonight's weather for Weather Geeks. Much more in the way of updates this evening. I'll probably do another video or two right before the 11 o'clock news. So look for those on Facebook and on Twitter. And I'll see you tonight on 21 News at 11.